We finished session 3 of the Muslim senator reveals damning abuse she faced for Palestine within the Australian Parliament, which I don't believe. I believe she probably had contentions, but she was disciplined and didn't like it. She was devaluing the party behind the party's back. She's thrown the Prime Minister and Australian politics and all her colleagues under the bus. She's now pandering to the Islamists was all along behind the scenes, and now they've got their claws in her, and they're going to start a Muslim party in Australia, mark my words, and good luck to them if they do. But they have forgotten that our country is not about Palestine. Our country is about Australia. We don't do wars and all this nonsense and rubbish and garbage that these people are talking about. And they're trying to say Australia's no good because they're not doing what they should to help Palestine. But we are. We are. We've even gone so far as dragging, and I don't know why Penny Wong done this, but she's dragged in the Jewish or Israeli ambassador and told him that we will not be an ally of Israel if Hezbollah attacks Israel and Israel retaliate. I don't know what that means or what sense. That's like if somebody runs into Penny Wong's house and starts to destroy it, she's just going to stand there and watch, is she? She'll stand there and watch until the police come. Now, if Hezbollah attack Israel, the civilians will just have to cop it until the army fights back, right? This is completely out of order. It is just an agenda, Islamic, Muslim agenda. And we've got to see it for what it is, because they're throwing all the constituents in the Muslim communities under the bus. They've thrown the Prime Minister and the colleagues of this lady. She's thrown them completely under the bus. And this is where we're up to in this interview.
And if you can't stand up for human rights, for justice, for freedom, and have integrity.
What these people misunderstand is we've done that. Australia has done that, and that's why we have the country that we have. Right? And we've become weak because there's too much woke leftism in our country at the moment for us to call a spade, and these people are completely out of order. We've stood up so strongly for what is right and what's moral and what's integral and what's Christian, and our country is built on a Christian constitution, that these people don't even realise the country is the way it is this way because of it. And she's trying to say that it's not this way at all. It is this way. That's why the country is what it is. That's why yous are all coming out here. Oh, guys, please wake up. Wake up, Australia.
As part of your value system, people are going to lose that trust in you as their local representative. And sooner or later, they would even think about replacing you.
But that's politics. That's how politics works. If you don't perform, you get replaced. But the Muslim people they don't like the infidels. What you've got to understand, the message here is, we want the Muslims in the parliament in our communities. We don't want the Australians in our, or these other people running our communities. We need to run these communities as Muslims. That's the only way we see that it'll work. That's the mentality of these people.
Now, there's so much footage of Prime Minister Anthony Albanese previously making hardline statements against, Israeli war crimes and condemning the illegal occupation, the brutal occupation. To now see the Prime Minister take...
Now, what do they mean by occupation? That's not true. That is not true. And what a lot of people forget is that President Trump, the people that they threw him under the bus, he had the Abraham Accord and all of that settled and sorted. And then Biden got in, and this is where it's ended up. Biden can't stop wars or anything. Albanese has stood for Palestine over and over again. So let's just see what this guy's going to try and say here.
A completely drastic turn in relations to softening his message towards Israel.
No. See, again, Anthony Albanese has just said to Israel through Penny Wong and her assistant, and I'm going to harp this because it was insane, they pulled the Israeli ambassador in for a meeting. They said to the this is insane. They said to the Israeli ambassador, if Hezbollah attacks Israel and you retaliate, we will not be your ally. These people say we're softening. You cannot get a more staunch, suicidal political conversation than that. We're actually throwing away our allies for the Palestinians. And they're still not happy.
Do you feel like he's let Palestine down? I mean, it's been quoted that he's put more sanctions on you than on Netanyahu.
What the hell is he talking about? What is he talking about? She threw away Anthony Albanese and the Labor Party as colleagues. Okay? Albanese's told Israel through Penny Wong's assistant that we really won't be your ally if you need help, which is historically completely insane. And these people are saying that Albanese put more sanctions on her than what she has Israel. Can you see the narrative here? Can you see that they're trying to play up the Muslims so that she'll get more votes once she starts her party, which she already has, and that they're just condemning and undermining and honestly belittling in front of the world Australian politics? I mean, if you go so far as forfeiting your allegiance to a state or a nation to suit a Palestinian narrative and the defense of that nation against the terrorism of these Palestinian countries, what more can you do for these people? And they're still not happy. I don't think you realise how dangerous these people are.
Is your message to the Australian Prime Minister?
I think that...
Oh, here we go. Now we're going to give the Australian Prime Minister a message. Anthony Albanese, I'm a nobody, right? I'm just a simple observer. You need to get this in order, mate. You need to get these people in order because they are not got any respect for you. They'll make out they have on the surface, but underneath, they've got none. Peter Dutton, please be aware of this.
Those private conversations with the Prime Minister that I've previously had, I've made clear what I think about just his advocacy in this space. I know that, and he's told me that he's advocated for Palestine longer than I've been on this earth for.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, he has. The truth of the matter it probably is that he has. The evidence is there. So let's not undermine that, even though, in a way it's siding the wrong way in terms of who our allies are, but he really did do it. And Anthony Albanese, Mr. Prime Minister, with all due respect, as an Australian, and I do have an Assyrian background and Aboriginal background by genealogy, these people have got no respect for you, sir, at all.
And to that, I would say, well, let's implement it. Let's make it count when it matters the most.
Ladies and gentlemen, viewers, Australians, Muslims, Jewish people, whoever you are watching this, do you think Australia has done enough for a situation that has absolutely nothing to do with our nation or our land or our beliefs or our values? Do you think, in all honesty, that we haven't done enough? We can't even look after our own backyard. And these people still aren't happy. Now, if you think these people aren't happy, right, let me show you how vulnerable we really are. You worried about the Muslims? These people are disciplined. While you're trying to work out While you're trying to work out if you're a male or a female, depending on what day it is and what the weather's like, these people, the Chinese people, they're watching all this. They're watching Biden. They're watching Australia. They're watching all this. And while we're working out whether our fish and chips taste all right or whether the seagulls should have taken off with it, and the Muslims are mucking our country around thinking, we're not doing enough for Palestine. These people, these Chinese people, who outnumber the Muslims in Australia, are doing this. Look how disciplined they are. Do you think you're going to stop them with a thong or a surfboard or, a builder's hammer when they hit our beaches? These people are militant, disciplined, and they know what they're doing and they know what they want. Remember, in the military war games that are taking place with our allies, the USA and the UK, as I speak, they're about to take place soon. We're sending a ship, let me remind you, a ship, a plane, and 300 soldiers. Right? Now these people are watching all this. Look, they're watching all this. They're looking at us like we're a pack of fools, right? Just like the Muslims are right in front of us. These people are watching America. They're watching Australia, the UK. They're watching the Muslims walk all over us. They're saying to themselves they can't even keep immigrants out of their borders, right? Including us. We've infiltrated Australia. We own most of it. Look. Do you think you're going to stop these guys, you Aussies? Don't kid yourselves. This is going on every day in China. It's getting bigger, stronger. There's millions ready to go. What are you going to do? Stand on Bondi Beach with a thong or a packet of CCs? Or maybe if you really got arms, you might have a packet of twisties. You can throw the twisties at them as they're coming up the beach. We're mucking around with these Muslims and Palestinians. These people will run over all of them. They've got no chance. I know they're used to fighting and that. But we're going to be like little children at the mercy of monsters. We don't even know if we're males, females. We are so far away from reality now. Look at the might. And he's just cool. He knows. They know. It's just a matter of time. They're destroying themselves, he's thinking. Look, not a worry in the world. Look at the discipline. Look. Wake up, Australia, please. What am I going to do? Skitch the little chihuahua that we've got onto these guys? You won't even have a chance to open your mouth. You won't even have a chance to... Look at the drones and the... You watch the Chinese business acumen in Australia and how clever they are and how disciplined they are, and we're fighting over how quick we can get through McDonald's or if there's milk down at the shop. We have got no comprehension at all. And this is just a small demonstration of the military might of this nation. And they're only a phone call away. And we've got people... Look at this. Look at this. This is just a small little, 70th anniversary for something or other. We're sending one plane to the practice sessions for war. I just don't think you realise, Australians, Muslims, or whatever else you are, what's going on behind the scenes. We have no idea. We have lost our way.
People are looking up to the leaders that we currently have, and they want to see that strong leadership to take.
No, they're not looking up to the leaders. He said that before. They've got no respect for the leaders in their Muslim communities at all. At all.
Take aside to see what the Prime Minister is going to do. I think there's been...
do you think the Prime Minister... Look, viewers, do you think the Prime Minister should be worried about what's going on in Palestine? We can't even protect our own borders.
An indiscrepancy in the way one group has been treated over the other, and we can't truly say that we are a people of fairness and equality if we're going to, cause disunity within the community by treating one different to another.
No, she's just waffling. She's just making up words now. She's just making up words to undermine the integrity of the Australians, the integrity of our Constitution and the way in which we believe our communities should be run. She's completely undermining the democracy of Australia and everything that it stands for. And she ain't mentioning the Chinese or North Korea or anything like that. She's too busy worrying about Palestine, which destroyed itself. Israel didn't destroy it. Israel was attacked by it. Israel has gone, we're not going to have it. And now these people are trying to make it everybody else's responsibility because they can't save themselves against themselves. And that's the bottom line. They need to go to Hamas and start complaining to the Hamas politicians, not the Australian ones.
That's what breaks the fabric of our society. That's what is causing the social cohesion issues. That's what's making people...
Hang on a sec. There are no social cohesion issues for the Australians. We've welcomed these people into our country. Again, what more do they want? They're in our land. We accepted them into our land.
Feel like they're not being heard. And there is a simple solution to that. Listen.
You know what the simple solution is to this? Send them back home. Go back to where you belong. Leave us alone. Leave us be. We were doing all right before all this started.
To the people who voted you in.
Okay. Now, it's no secret that there are thousands of young Muslim girls that look up to you, all dreaming of hoping that they can make a difference to this world. When you were elected...
Which part of the world is he talking about? Which part of the world? Right? Again, it's Muslims in Australia, is it? Or Muslims in wherever they come from? Really?
You stated that hope is an amazing thing. Given what you've been through to date, do you still have that same message of hope? And what is your message to these young girls?
I definitely have the same message of hope. If I can give myself the audacity as a daughter of a refugee who wasn't even born here to...
That's exactly right. She's just said it, right? The daughter of a refugee who wasn't even born here. She's forgotten. She has forgotten that she came to this country, escaping her country, which has been rack and ruined by them, not by Israel, by them. Whatever's happening there now between them and Israel that they brought on themselves through their leaders. Why ain't she attacking her leaders? And they've forgotten that they've come to a country that is built on Christian constitutional ways. And they've sat in this interview and completely undermined the whole lot of it.
Challenge the system and to stay true to my conscience and to stay true to my principles than I know any other girl out there, any other, whether they, be a hijabi Muslim woman, young or old, you can do it too.
But you've got to ask yourself, what is it that they're trying to do? They're not allowed to go to the beach with thongs and a bikini on. The Muslim men won't let them. They'll take them home and punish them. What is it that these people are trying to do in Australia? They've had all the liberties and rights of everybody else and they're still not happy.
That message of hope, but also give yourself that confidence and that audacity to challenge the status quo. Don't just comply. Don't just be comfortable or...
Okay, what is the status quo that these people are talking about? What status quo are they talking about? Because Australia is the land of the free. This is the mentality that they've brought with them from their nations, where they've got the inferiority complex, that they just cannot be who they need to be, or they're not getting what they deserve. And it's wrong, it's destructive, and if they got their way, our nation would end up like theirs, on its knees, ruined and destroyed. Now, what you've got to understand is Hamas escalates attacks in Gaza Strip on Israel troops amid ceasefire hopes. These people see the Israelis as infidels. Okay, this is what you've got to understand. And they see us as infidels. Now, if they had their way, they'd be doing this to us. Do you have to understand this? Don't listen to the rhetoric that's going on here. They're never happy. It doesn't matter how much you try and help them, what you try and do for them. This is how it will always end up. Okay? Now, the problem isn't the Australian Labor Party or politics or the Australians or any of this. The problem is their own people. They are not to be, treating us like we're doing something wrong, or our politicians. They need to go back to their country, be honest about the mess that they've made of it, try and stop them us. Right? Can you imagine? This is what Australia will end up like if we're not careful. This is what they do. That might be an Israeli tank in this situation, but if it was an Australian one, they'd treat it the same. Right? This could be Bankstown one day. We don't know. Al-Qasim brigades target the enemy operations command headquarters near the Halhos site east of Gaza. And it just goes on and on. This is how they live these. And indirectly and unequivocally, they're trying to say that this is what we are doing to them in Australia. And it's not true.
Or not want to push out of your comfort zone, because change doesn't happen when we're comfortable.
Don't you think we're in our comfort zone allowing you people here in the first place? The males telling the Aussie females that they shouldn't go down the beach in their bikinis and whatnot, minding their own business. I think Australia's completely losing its way. They've given too much influence to foreigners. And say it as it is, right? We've got the Aborigines saying that, whatever they're on about. The place is a mess.
Okay. Now, you dedicated your first opening address in the Senate to your late father. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on him. If your father, Abdul Wakil...
Now, let's just say for a minute too, no matter what reputation these people have got and whatnot relative amongst themselves, etc., no disrespect intended, most of his questions have been baited questions, undermining questions towards the people this woman was sitting under, and she bought into all of it.
Was to see you in this position today, forced to leave your party.
She wasn't forced to leave her party. She chose to leave the party. Anthony Albanese tried to give her some kind of discipline. She didn't like it. She chose to leave. She was not forced. See, you've got to watch the statements of these people very carefully, because they lie, they exaggerate.
Standing up for what you believe in, saying things like, with a heavy heart but a clear conscience. What would his advice be to you today?
I'd say, and I say this respectfully, her father would be rolling in his grave. You had every opportunity to work with the Australian Parliament. Now you've gone one step further and you're trying to bring your Palestine idealisms and make out that Australia's done something wrong. I'd be chastising her too.
I think he would advise me to continue on this path of maintaining a clear conscience and standing firm to my convictions. And
having a clear conscience and standing by your convictions and all this is perfectly fine. But I can assure you, and let's just say it, they're not in line with Australian constitutional beliefs. Stand for your convictions and your beliefs. Go back to Palestine and see how far you get. And you know what? She ain't going to get very far at all. So why is she bringing her conscience and trying to give us a conscience for the problems that her country has got themselves into?
And my principles, because when you have that integrity in your life and the way you approach things, you won't go wrong. So there's always a moral compass when it comes to making decisions, and it's important for us to renew those intentions and know why we're doing what we're doing.
I think on the one hand, a father would be saying, well, go back to Palestine and fix your problems there. Leave Australia alone. You were given the privilege to integrate into it. You don't want to do that. Don't ruin it for our people, which these people are. Australia is a different nation and culture to what yous have. Respect that. Don't push your beliefs and your destruction from your people and where you come from onto these people. They've fought their battles and they've found peace and a way in which it works. So don't try and bring your clear conscience to give us a conscience that's not clear, because believe me, and I say this to you and the interviewer and all the rest of the Muslim people in Australia, our conscience is clear. Our nation does work, and we don't need you to tell us that it doesn't.
Senator Payman, what does the future hold for your future political career?
I'll tell you right now, it's predictable. She will try and start a Muslim party. These people here, where are they? Hang on, where is he? These people behind the scenes here, they're going to manipulate and control her. She will probably get the party off the ground, at which time these people will get more authority and more leeway to the Senate. Once one of these males get into the Senate, Payman will be thrown under the bus. And she knows it. Deep inside, she knows these people can't be trusted. She's seen it in her own country where they abuse and bash and ruin their own women.
Your late father, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on him. What would his advice be to you today?
I think he would advise me to continue on this path of maintaining a clear conscience and standing firm to my convictions and my principles, because when you have that integrity in your life and the way you approach things, you won't go.
Let me just say something, viewers, and let's just be honest about it. She hasn't shown integrity. She was given a lifetime opportunity by the Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, to allow herself as a Muslim representative to come into Australian politics and play a role alongside a team that was willing to embrace her and show her the way. Not in contrary or conflict to what she believed, because as I said before, and I'll say it again, Australia has gone insofar as, through Anthony Albanese, Penny Wong and her assistant, they're all responsible, to threaten Israel with a forfeit of our allegiance if they respond to an attack by Hezbollah. Right? We have forfeited our allegiance to Israel. What more could these people, these Muslims, want? Right? It's not a matter of integrity. It's not a matter of responsibility or accountability. It's a religious Islamic Muslim agenda to break in their influence into Australian politics so that they get more authority in the way they want to live in Australia. We are the infidels if you follow their religion. I've met many wonderful, kind Muslims, but to be quite frank with you, their culture is never going to be the same as the Australian one at the end of the day. It's never going to work in Australia unless they carry it out within their communities. We've accepted and welcomed them as far as we can, way beyond what we needed to. And this example in our political arena in front of the whole of Australia and the world to see has just been another example of how these people rebel against what's best for them.
Go wrong. So there's always a moral compass when it comes to making decisions, and it's important for us to renew those intentions and know why we're doing what we're doing.
In other words, even if we're wrong, we'll never give up. And that's exactly what we've seen with Hamas in Palestine. And if she was in Palestine, Hamas and this other bloke that's interviewing her, they'd be killed like any other Palestinian person that gets in the way. And it has nothing, absolutely nothing, to do with the Australian way. This has been a whole lot of Islamic Muslim agenda against Australia and our politicians, and it ain't going to work. I can see straight through it.
Senator Payman, what does the future hold for your future political career?
Well, I hope to continue serving the people of Western Australia in my capacity as an independent senator.
The Muslim people of Western Australia. She'll get all the Sydney people on board as well.
Yet to learn what are all the incredible issues that, you know, my people in WA are passionate about and what they would like me to address.
I'll be quite honest with you. If I was an Australian in Western Australia, I'd be disgusted with this woman. She was given parliamentary privilege. She threw it back like Judas did the 30 pieces of silver to the Pharisees. She threw it back at our Prime Minister, and now she's running her own race without conscience and thinks that none of us can see it. We see it a mile away, vulnerable Senator Payman. We see it a mile away to the Islamic and Muslim communities in our country, Australia. We are not blind, we're well aware, and I hope that our Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, finds a way to relinquish this lady's position, because he was used he was played by these people. Now she's going to be played by her people, and the Muslims will have a foothold in Australian politics. And it's never, ever, history has proven, their beliefs don't work.
I don't claim to be an expert in all matters that are impacting people's lives, but
she is not an expert. She has proven that. She had people around her that were experts that were willing to work in with her. She walked away from that to collude with the Islamists and Muslims around her. She's been fooled, deceived, and misled. She hasn't misled me, and she will. I hope she doesn't mislead any more of our parliamentary people. And I don't think she's seen the start of this yet. I think she's brought such a rebellious presentation of herself with an agenda that's so far outside what she signed up for, that people are going to see this, and it's not going to be received the way that these Muslim Islamists are praising her. The Australian people are seeing it in a completely different light. It's an abuse of the privileges, the parliamentary privileges that our Prime Minister gave to this woman and her colleagues that worked alongside her. She is damning them with abuse, damning abuse accusations. And I would love for her to try and prove it in the Senate. If they're so bad, then, you know, something ought to be done. But they're not that bad. It was an inferiority complex with an agenda that didn't fit with the promises that she made and the allegiances she made to the Australian government. And now she's broken away. She's gone to the Islamists and the Muslims. They're going to try and start their own party. They will turn her on her head, and they will slip into Australian politics, and the rest will be history.
But my pledge to them is that I will continue serving your interests. I will continue serving what's best for.
Ladies and gentlemen, this woman's serving the interests of the Palestinians in Australia. She's trying to give us a bad conscience about not doing enough. She's trying to make out we don't care about the Muslims, which is an absolute lie, because if we didn't, what are they doing in our country? She's trying to put on us the blame for what's happened in Palestine for millenniums. And it's so far out of order. I hope our nation and our politicians see this for what it is and are very wary of the Muslim communities in our country, because they do not have any respect or decency towards the people that are running our nation.
For us as a bigger community that's not just nationwide here in Australia, but across the world, to keep fighting for humanity, to keep standing for what's right, and to promote peace and harmony wherever we are.
And that's exactly what she hasn't done. Our country, right, Australia, we've never had a war in our country. We're only 200 years old. Admittedly, these people come from countries that are millenniums old, right? And I'm just going to say to you, this is not going to end well for this lady in the long run. It can't. It can't. It's just the way the Muslims are.
Senator Payman, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
And this interview is absolute gold for the people that wanted to see what exactly was going on here. I'm Dr. J.W. Morrison, theologist, Central Coast, New South Wales, Australia. Like, comment, subscribe, or tell me to get stuffed. I don't really care. They've just thrown themselves under the bus by doing this interview. We know exactly where we stand, exactly where they stand. It's reminiscent of the millenniums that they've had behind them. It's only history trying to repeat itself in a nation that it has already been peaceful, has not got any trouble. I'm out.